Well, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) board has received a warning from President Bola Tinubu that non-performance will not be accepted. Now, the president issued a warning stating that behavior implying a sense of entitlement would not be allowed. And that was when he inaugurated the NNPCL board at the State House yesterday. Now, in light of the damaging impact of oil exploration and exploitation on the ecosystem, he added that corporate social responsibility for the Niger Delta must be treated seriously. As Nigeria makes the switch to cleaner energy, the president ordered that more focus should be placed on gas, saying that more commitment needs to be shown to the welfare of the country. Now, the president's decision to remove the gasoline subsidy was praised by the board chairman, Pius Akinyelure, who noted that without his decisiveness, the country would have drowned in debt. Well, we still have with us in the studio, we have Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, and virtually we have Mr. Chukuma Okoro. Now, let me come to Chukuma now. Now, the president issuing this directive, he also did say, don't see this as cake sharing. All right. Yes, I've been informed that we have John Akirili joining us. But let me start with Chukuma now. The president said, don't see this as cake sharing. All right. If, this is not status quo. Things should be done differently. But Mele Kyari is still the GCEO. And a few other appointments were made, but basically it's still basically they're almost the same people. How do you react to this, really?
Moses, when I read the news that the president said this is not time for people to show a sense of entitlement, which you aptly called cake sharing, I just laughed because it made me understand that, thank God that the president knows that the NNPC has been a cesspit of corruption in Nigeria. Every money, everything that has gone wrong in this country was caused by NNPC. And what they simply did was to change it from NNPC to NNPC Limited, making it more like a limited liability corporation, but it's still owned 100% by the government. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just a name change and nothing has changed. If I'm inaugurating a board, I will also tell them what the president had said. If you were inaugurating a board, you'll also tell them what the president has said to make headlines, what I always call sound bites. The more responsible thing to do is to go a step further to ensure that it is no longer business as usual. Mele Kyari transmuted, I think he was also the GMD of NNPC before it now became NNPC Limited. Nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned. But what strikes me most is the charge by the president that the new NNPC board, NNPC Limited board, should make sure that the Niger Delta, which is more like the goose that lays the golden egg, is taken appropriate care of. If it is a statement that he goes on to ensure that it is implemented, it will be better for Nigeria in the sense that restiveness in the oil producing region will be dealt with. The people who are producing the oil will at least have something to show for bearing the oil that feeds Nigeria. But beyond that, the president should also ensure that the instruments established for this social corporate responsibility, like the NDDC, which is a sister agency like the NNPC. In fact, the corruption in the NDDC is even worse than that of the NNPC. Just that the NNPC is a nationalized, is a more national institution. They should look into the NDDC to ensure that the monies given there are used for the people and not for the people that work there. Because most times people that work there end up fending for them, giving themselves what is due for the people itself, and that is what has caused the most of the restiveness in the region that have also led to the decrease in the production output of our oil. And again, it is good that the president, 1 minute, Moses, that the president mentioned about Nigeria. Nigeria is more of a gas nation than an oil nation. So I want to see a situation where the new NNPC board exploits the opportunities we have in the gas sector to ensure that we not only export the better gas, the cooking one, which is the wet one, is also available to Nigerians, and the price should just go down because Nigerians are feeling the pinch in the high cost of gas.
All right, then let's welcome John Akirile to this conversation. Good morning to you, John. Now, John, your thoughts on this really? We see a situation whereby the president has retained Mele Kyari as the group chief executive officer of NNPCL, and then he appointed Pius Akinyelure as the non-executive board chairman. He also retained Umaru Isa Ajia as the chief financial officer and appointed 6 non-executive directors, namely Ledum Miti, Musa Tumsa, Gali Mohammed, Mustafa Aliyu, David Ogbodo, and Eunice Thomas. Are you expecting a change in operation, seeing that the people at the helm of affairs are the same people that have been there for a while, and that Nigerians have also complained about inactivity of the NNPCL?
Thank you, Moses. Good morning to our panelists and our viewers all over the world. Moses, nothing will change.
That's very direct.
If you're expecting that something will change in the NNPC as it stands now, even with the new appointment, I'm telling you boldly, and let this be on record, that nothing will change. Why? Because you cannot still keep the same people who have been at the ends of runnings all of this while, and where under their purview, the shenanigans in the oil and gas industry was perpetrated right even in their front. And these are the same sort of people who are still at the corridors of power and are expecting something different to happen. My dear, I think as a people, we should be frank with ourselves and tell ourselves the bitter truth. This, to me, does not show any sign or iota that there's going to be a change. Although I've lost hope in NNPC as it stands, except there is a total breakdown and rebuilding all afresh. Let's even take everybody out, not only you mentioned Mele Kyari, still the GCMD or the GCEO, whatever portfolio that he carries. It shows that these are still, even those ones you call non-executive officers, they are just toothless lion, because there's nothing that they will do without the consent and approval of the so-called big wings in that same sector. And so it means that we are just roaming around the circle without a proper solution in view. Moses, what I think is even more critical is that the president at this point in time should understand that there is a need for stronger political will all across board, all across ministries, agencies, and let people know that we are at a dear end where we need all hands to be on deck, where accountability and transparency is the number one on the list of the government. And let it start from the presidency. And if the presidency can show that body language and that signal, it will trickle down to the Senate. But in a case where the body language of the presidency, does not even show transparency, in a case where the presidency is perceived not to be transparent in all of their dealings, how do you now have the authority to question your Senate president about transparency? How do you question your senators and the House of Rep members about transparency? How do you call governors to order about transparency? How do you call your local government chairman and ask him questions? So that is why it is very, very important that as leaders and leadership should understand that whatever they do, trickles down to other strata of leadership. And that's why I think in the issue of data diagnosis, let me just quickly put in one or two about it there.
Okay.
I think for us, we should understand that what are the parameters that bring people into poverty. And in little part of poverty, we look at those parameters. Moses, one of it is unemployment. If we say that as a people, we have 774 local governments, and we give a marching order that in a year, within your 4 years, you should have at least 2 viable industry in each local government. Moses, you are talking about 1,500, over 1,500 industries that will employ people in the local government level. And so all of this money you are sharing around, giving different names today and tomorrow, e-money, trader money, palliative share, and all manner of schemes, since I've been born, these are things that I've been hearing, and they still keep coming till now. But that shows to you, Moses, that sharing of money will never lift people out of poverty, not to talk less of our own multidimensional poverty. And so the only way out is that there should be more viable, business-friendly environment, governmental policies as to aiding sustainable businesses, encouraging small-scale enterprise, because these are the engine of economic growth of any country anywhere in the world. And so that is where our political class need to understand that instead of them sharing our bag of rice and sharing 10,000 as palliatives, let's put this money together and look at strategic hubs that can be created in different regions. If you're a senator, look at your senatorial districts and look at it that as a constituency project, how many factories can I as senator erect in my own constituency with the public partnership, and then we can create job for our people. Because Moses, that is where the government can have more money. That is where there will be a working system. That is where people can be tracked in terms of their employment and source of income.
All right.
That is where you can ask questions about sources of funds that people cannot explain.
All right, then. Thank you very much, John. Now, before we continue with our studio guest, let's watch the video where the president was addressing the new board of the NNPCL. Let's take that one.
There are so many things I cannot discuss here. Members of the cabinet here present, Your Excellency the Governor, the Chairman of the Governor's Forum, the Governor of Kwara State, heads of the board of NNPC, Military. Is a very unique day. We've just worked this board. These are people of great integrity, honorable men and women. I'm honored that we are doing this. And let me tell you, thank you for accepting to serve. It's been a while since I last saw you. The challenge is corporate governance. Yes, we will improve, and I'm glad you mentioned about security challenges, or theft and vandalization of the pipeline. We are working hard and sincerely.
All right, so here we are. That's the much we can take. There's a whole lot more there, but we can't take everything because of time. You've seen this. I'm sure you watched it before you came on the show as well. How do you react to establish this new board and the directive given to them? and the desire that, or the belief that they will work and do things differently. And bear in mind that, as against warning from different people, the president seems to be retaining the position of the Minister of Petroleum.
Okay, I will come from this view. It's a Zig Ziglar says, it's unwise, I won't use the word madness, it's unwise to do the same thing the same way and expect different results. So if you want something to change, we must change the old things. So which means that what we are telling Nigerians is that there's nobody in Nigeria that can fit into that shoe. So when we have, which means that there are some people that are so powerful that cannot be removed. So, and in other words, we can keep them forever. And when we say I think this administration should not toe the toe of the previous administration that just work with body language without implementation. A body language that if you don't do well, I will sack you. So which are just words. But let's also see execution. Let's also see implementations. Right? Let us see how this thing is being run. Because if you still keep the same people in the same, and over more than 8 years, and nothing has changed in that sector. Let me divert a bit. You should know this company, oil producing company in Saudi Arabia, we call this Saudi Aramco.
Aramco, yes.
They are government owned, but being run with private sector mentality. In a year, Saudi Aramco turned out a profit plus dividend to the government of $160 billion. $160 billion.
All right, let me just please hold our thoughts, all right? Because of time, we'll be losing the connection to the virtual guest. Let's just take their concluding thoughts, and then we'll come back and wrap this up in the studio. So, Mr. Okoro, let's take your concluding thoughts on this in 2 minutes, please.
Okay, Moses, I would like the NMPC board to show more, to pay more attention to the oil producing region. That is one. And two, I need to see more attention in the gas sector because, like I said, Nigeria is more of a gas country than an oil country. And the NMPC board should please not disappoint us. The president has spoken much about their integrity. So we want to see that integrity play out in the work they do.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, John, please, your concluding thoughts.
My concluding thought is very simple. It's just that we should know that the journey to redeeming Nigeria is a long journey. It will happen in 4 years. It will happen in 8 years. But then we should take decisive effort every day towards changing narrative. God bless Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, John and Chukwuma Okoro joined us differently. Chukwuma somewhere in Nigeria, John somewhere in Asia. We appreciate you for your thoughts. Now let's have your thoughts again. Please go ahead.
So like what I was saying, Saudi Aramco, which is owned by government in Saudi Arabia, that's been run with private sector mentality. They turned out $160 billion to the government as profit and dividend. If we convert it to Nigerian currency, it will fall into quadrillions of naira. And so if you want to match things and say, okay, maybe NNPCL is not up to them, NNPC should be like 25% of Saudi Aramco. So in other words, NNPC should be turning out the minimum of $40 billion. $40 billion as profit to the government. So, but what do we have? Over time that the NNPC has been in operation, they never turned out 1 trillion. The last one in 2011 was 675 billion naira. So imagine the almighty NNPC over time have not turned out 1 trillion. In other words, if you convert $40 billion to Nigerian naira, you know how much a trillion is going to be. So they will come to us and say that the federal government is owing us. And because of that, we couldn't. So where are we in this space? So if we now say we change, you can change the cloth of a leopard. But if you don't change his mentality, it will still produce that same result. You can change the name from NNPC to NNPCL. But what are we doing differently? So when we talk about an organization coming public, having a stakeholders, so they must be accountable and they must be able to be run with a private sector mentality. That's why we make them PLC Limited. It's no longer government. We want to make it to be run in a... So if you are choosing the board, the GMD, I expect the federal government should be able to poach, to go to the... to Chevron of this world, to Total of this world, to Mobi, and poach their, if not their MD, if it's a white guy, you poach their GMD with a private sector mentality. What have they done to have taken this organization to this end? Let us use them to turn over Nigerians NNPC. But we can't continue to do the same thing. If you are using Mele Kyari, and you're keeping the board and just bringing in one or two fresh people, the question is that what comes to the mind of people is that what are they going to do differently that they've not done in the past 4 years?
But you know, the president being a man of action, he has said that the board can be dissolved without any prior notice if there's no sustained good performance. So don't you think that he's going to take into action what he has said?
We need to look at it. You know, the same words was spoken to the ministers when they were appointed, that once you don't perform, I will pull you out. These are statements. You say what we are expecting is political willpower to be able to execute what you said. These are statements which we are holding the president for his word. The question is that, is it going to be executed? So what people believe is that, oh, well, he has done 4 years, 8 years. Let's bring in somebody to... You can make him an executive director, right? Or a non-executive director, so that if he has some level of knowledge or the technicality that we still need in that space, let us bring in a fresh end and see what we are going to do differently, to be able to ensure that, oh, and also give them a target. These are words that say that, oh, we want you to do different, but what are the targets? What are the expectations? What are the machinery put in place to be able to monitor the short time, the long time, and the medium time plan, to be able to measure their performance over time, and be able to... We should also have a benchmark. What are we benchmarking them with, so that we know how to monitor their progress and their expectations?
All right then. So you're not expecting anything to change?
No, we are expecting things to change, because this is a new administration, right? They also want to impress the new person, the new government on ground. But what we just expect is that we should not run government as if it's only one person that has the knowledge. We have people, brilliant Nigeria, that can do better. Why not try them? Why not test them? Why do we still keep someone at the same position over time? Because the message is passing to an average Nigerian that are doing well in their field is that they cannot match this person in terms of expertise, and which is not good for our economy.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, Managing Partner at KJB Professional Services. We appreciate you for your robust
Thank
analysis.
you for having me.
Thanks for coming. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into business, and that will be followed by entertainment and then sports. Stay with us.